I'm Michael, and Chris and I are breaking impossible. We like to say do hard things, go outside, and keep moving forward. So Chris and I have been training for the Hong Kong 4 Trails Ultra Challenge for the last 5 years. And there are 12 tools that we use to maintain our active lifestyle. Let me start by saying that neither of us are doctors. We're only sharing information with you about what we've been doing for the last 5 years. And this is not meant to be a substitute for qualified professional medical advice. Number 1, we keep a regular sleep schedule 7 days a week. So I try to go to bed at the same time every night, usually within a half hour to an hour. And I try to wake up at the same time every morning. Number 2, we try to get at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep. So for me, it usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes for me to fall asleep, and I often wake up throughout the night. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that I have enough time in bed that allows for me to get a total of 8 hours of sleep. Number 3, we limit the amount of caffeine that we consume, and we try to limit that caffeine to within 12 to 14 hours before bedtime. Number 4, we try to reduce or eliminate the amount of alcohol that we consume. And if we are going to drink, we try to make sure that we don't drink within 3 hours before bedtime. Number 5, the 3 tenets of movement and sunlight. So the first thing that I do in the morning is I turn on as many bright overhead lights as I can, because I usually wake up before the sun rises. But once the sun does rise, I try to make sure I go outside for 5 to 10 minutes, get as much sunlight as I can. When the sun is low on the horizon, there's a certain quality of light that I'm looking to get into my eyes. It has to do with setting your clock for the day, and it improves the sleep that you're going to get that night. I try to make sure that I do the same thing around sunset, where I go outside for 5 to 10 minutes. And sometime throughout the day, I try to get 5 to 10 minutes worth of sunlight. What I try to do is I try to make sure I'm getting at least 30 minutes to 60 minutes of sunlight every day. Again, this has to do with the quality of sleep that I'm trying to get. That middle 5 to 10 minutes is usually something I do in the morning. I often start my runs before sunrise, and I'm usually out there running long enough that I'm going to get at least 30 minutes of sunlight already. Number 6, we try to move as much as possible, preferably outside, but not 2 hours before bedtime. Number 7, we try to focus on staying hydrated. I personally have to remind myself to drink water, especially first thing in the morning. This is especially important before, during, and after exercise. And you want to make sure that you're adequately hydrated before you go to sleep. It depends on how much time you spend in an air-conditioned building, how much exercise you get. If you're a man or a woman, there are a lot of individual variables and everybody's different. It's just important to make sure that you're getting enough. Number 8, time-restricted eating. Chris and I both try to limit the amount of time that we're eating to within an 8 to 10 hour window. We try to make sure that we're eating more fruits and vegetables, less red meat, less processed foods. I personally try not to eat deep fried foods or drink sweetened beverages. Most of the common sense advice that you'd get anywhere else. We don't count calories. We're not doing a specific diet, but we are trying to limit the hours within which we eat our meals. Number 9, we try to do at least 30 minutes of what we call deep work, which is something meaningful to us. So examples would be reading, writing, problem solving, something creative, something social, not social media, something where you're engaging with other people in a meaningful way. Number 10, posture, stability, mobility, flexibility, and range of motion training. Examples of this would be yoga or Pilates. Number 11, high intensity interval or endurance training. And number 12, strength or resistance training. It can also be isometric training. Those last 3 items we try to do at least 2 to 3 times a week. So there you go. These are the 12 tools that Chris and I both use, and we're calling the Breaking Impossible method. As Chris likes to say, we'll see you out there.